Welcome, welcome, welcome back to Truth Quest. My name is Aaron Moriarty. I will be your host, and we're going to go on a quest for truth together. Yes, we are. And today, friends, we've got a very special guest with us here today on Truth Quest, and that is Steve Anthony Cefalo.
Yes, and you can just call me Steve is fine. Nice to be here, Aaron.
Great, and I want everyone's to follow him.
That's right.
And so Steve is an artist, right? And you're doing the graphic novel for Corey Goode and the Serbian Alliance. Isn't that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Awesome. So it's just a pleasure to have you here now. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? I mean, you know a little bit more about yourself than I do, so go ahead, introduce yourself. And
Okay, yeah. Well, I've lived for 44 years, so it's a lot to put in a nutshell. But but yes, I'd say primarily I've lived my life as an artist, and I really explored many different artistic styles and disciplines. I went to art school for both fine art, painting, and for illustration in New York City. And my first job was actually both. My first jobs were both fine art jobs and illustration jobs. So my first jobs were extremely famous jobs. so I had straight out of undergrad, I would say 22, 23 years old, and I was working at Nickelodeon as a Rugrats illustrator. And I was also working for Jeff Koons. This was in 1999. And I was also working for Jeff Koons simultaneously, who's a world famous pop artist. He's known as the world's most expensive artist. So we're making multi-million-dollar paintings for the Guggenheim and stuff. And they're hanging in museums all over the world, like major museums and collections. So that was pretty cool. And I would say, but I said most of my time I've spent teaching and working as a portrait artist and a gallery artist. But recently, I would say following a divorce 5-6 years ago, I really began to shift my focus toward other things. And I would say that lent itself more back into the arena of illustration and eventually the graphic novel stuff.
Yeah, boy, I'm friends with you on Facebook, and I'm just blown away by the posts you make and the art that you post. It's so realistic. You've got that like the backlit, the kind of like the sunlight coming through the ears look. You got that down. I mean,
that's always something I enjoy.
Well, you're a great now. Who is your favorite artist? If you could be on a desert island and you could only have one book with one artist's work to look at, which artist would it be?
Absolutely, I would say Caravaggio. Does it for me every time. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Great Italian painter, 16th century, late 16th century. Just really always has spoken to me. I like the Baroque period. He stands somewhere in between the High Renaissance and the Baroque, and he's got that high dramatic kind of theatrical lighting, and it's very kind of theater-like. It's very, very stage-like, and I really, in a number of illustrations, a number of panels, I kind of refer back to that type of art.
Wow. Yeah. Well, your stuff is so. I mean, it's museum quality. I mean, it's really, really good stuff. It's amazing, and I'm just blown away. And I saw recently you posted you do portraits for people. I mean, if you want to give someone a gift, give them
Yes.
a portrait of them. I mean, this guy, he's like a Renaissance artist. He's really good stuff.
Yeah.
There
So
you
you
go.
just had
Awesome.
a postcard sitting by. But yeah, I do. I
Beautiful.
paint in a number of styles from like, a more Baroque type things that maybe are reminiscent of Velázquez or, that's kind of Caravaggio-esque there, to things that are a little more impressionistic, or maybe, recall John Singer Sargent or somebody. Yes, I like to really study all different eras of painting, and imitate all those different styles of the past. Not to just try to mimic the past, but to use it to make something new for people.
That's incredible. So if you want, and even he does pets too. So if you have that
That's
special
right.
pet or that special kid, grandkid, this guy's the guy that you got to do that. Get the oil paintings, right? You do oil paintings.
That's right. Yeah, they're oil paintings, and they last for a long time. They'll be around if you take care of them a little bit. They'll be around longer than you will. Your grandchildren will love them and treasure them.
Wow. That's fantastic. Wow. And you said you went to school in New York. That must have been an experience. Now, where are you from originally?
Well, I was born in Nuremberg, Germany. My
Oh,
my parents were Americans, though. Uh, my dad was there in the military, and but we moved to the States when I was 2. And oddly, I have memories, like vivid memories of Germany, and Europe, and I think it had a profound effect on me, seeing all these wonderful things. But we moved to Pennsylvania. We moved to New Jersey. My dad is from the Philly area. My mom's from Kentucky. So we moved we moved to Indiana. I lived there a while. I lived on Redstone Arsenal in Alabama for a while with my dad. So just all over.
neat.
But yeah, I lived in New York 4 times. Taught in Cincinnati and Arkansas, and now live in North Carolina.
Wow. Wow. That's wild. Usually I go to New York in February for the toy fair, for the International Toy Fair. And
Oh, yes, I'm not even familiar with that.
no,
Mm-mm.
that's where they get over 100,000 people internationally from all over to come to look at toy companies' new stuff. And
Cool. I
yeah,
used to go to the licensing conventions at the Javits Center. Those
yeah,
were really fun.
yeah. That is cool. Yes, and the hobby and all that stuff.
Yeah, I went with the company, went with Nickelodeon back then.
So now your connection with Corey Good, I find is very interesting. So, uh, what was your awakening? I mean, what kind of woke you up to this other world that we find ourselves in?
Yeah, well, I think like most people, most of our friends, we there was kind of always a natural inclination toward this thing. It's funny, I was talking to my friend Chuck about this. Uh, we're both huge He-Man fans, right? And so I remember when I was very small, just something about He-Man struck a chord, like this other planet called Eternia, and these other things happening on this planet, and and this got me, I'm like 5 years old, and it took me straight into uh, Greek mythology and the Bible and everything you want. And so I think I just had, I remember there was those Time Life books that came out. There's a series, and and my babysitter had them, and they had them in their attic, and it was like UFOs, ghosts, um, probably Bigfoot and Loch Ness monster or something. So, I mean, just right away, there was just an intense fascination with this stuff. But I remember, I was married for 19 years and raised 6 kids, and
Wow.
but so my mind was pretty much fixed on making money for a long time, and being a family man and that sort of thing. And there wasn't a whole lot of time to delve into rabbit holes. But every once in a while, I would like get I would get into I'd have a thought in my head and be like, is there real evidence for mermaids? And when Google came out, it'd be like real mermaids or real time travel and stuff like that. And then I can't remember where I first heard about it. I would listen to Coast sometimes, and this thing came up, and Andy Bajago, and so at first I was laughing and I thought, this is so great. Actually, no, first real rabbit hole was John Teeter. So I got on this John Teeter kick in the early 2000s, which is an alleged time traveler that posted on message boards. So that was my first like sort of rabbit hole, like deep rabbit hole. And I would research this thing. It always made me a little nervous that somebody was watching over my shoulder or something. But that's kind of part of the thrill. But then Andy Bajaga was the first like face where you're like, okay, here's a real person. And he's got this kind of credibility because he's running for president. He's a politician. And so it's like, oh, lended it a little bit more credibility. And then he's got like Barack Obama and people like that in the story, and it makes it kind of fun. But then after the divorce, I found like, man, I can go off the deep end in the rabbit hole, and like there's nobody to answer to, or there's nobody to feel silly around. Like, I'm just going to go all the way into this fascination. It helped me through a lot of sort of dark times. My imagination being able to open up like that, and gave me delighted me in a lot of lonely times. So that's when I think I started listening to podcasts, Carrie Cassidy, and which led directly to David Wilcock. I found other coworkers at Jeff Koons, where I was working again in New York City as a 40 years old. And we started bouncing these ideas and saying, oh yeah, you've heard that too. And so I got David Wilcock's books, and then let me write to Corey Good. But then when I heard Corey Good's story, I didn't even care if it was real. I was like, this is the best story I've ever heard. It's so cool. And I want to know this story, and just the fact that it might be true, that's enough for me to just go crazy. And so I watched every episode of Cosmic Disclosure, everything that David and Corey put out, and I thought, man, I have to be a part of this in some way. And so I started messaging them through Twitter, which is kind of like the only way I saw was to direct message them through Twitter. So eventually I got their attention, and I got in.
Awesome. Congratulations. I interviewed Corey, and it's such an interesting story. I also interviewed Andrew Bashago, and Andrew's story, I mean, he's got other witnesses. He's got like 6 or 7 people.
Saw that.
Yeah,
come forward. Yeah.
Sadly, one William Whitecross passed away, but still got like 6 people who were in the programs with him, and to my discernment, if they were all faking this, they'd have the same identical story, but they don't. They have their own individual like impressions of what happened, but they all kind of come together. So
I found the same thing. It's a very rounded, kind of 3-dimensional story that builds out of those testimonies.
Yeah, and if you figure, um, my goodness, we went from the very first flight at Kitty Hawk with the Wright brothers. 66 years later, we're on the moon.
Mm, yeah.
Okay, it's been over 50 years since then.
Allegedly 60 years.
50, 51, right, right. I mean, just from the public's point of
Right.
view.
Yeah.
So it's been 51 years since the moon, since we made it to the moon. So
Yeah.
if we got from, a canvas glider with a little homemade motor
Right.
going 100 feet to the moon in 66 years, where are we from that point 51 years later that we don't know about? So
Right.
the fact that all that time has passed, they say technology doubles every year. I mean, my God, we are on Mars. We're out in the universe.
Right.
It's just been kept secret from us, and these power-hungry people who have control of it are
Yeah.
not mankind's friend.
Yeah.
So
You really think that we got from a Commodore 64, or like those big clunky computers with the reels in the 70s. You really think that we got from there to smartphones, but our our transportation technology is still pretty much exactly the same as when cars were invented, running on fire and fuel. I don't
right,
think so.
right.
I think we've at least got, there's that quote from somebody from Lockheed Martin that said, whatever you can think of, we're doing it. If
Yes.
you can think of it, we're doing it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're spending trillions of dollars every year. They darn well better have time travel and space travel, and it just makes sense. And that's why these whistleblowers um, have an air of truth to them, because inside we feel like we should be there.
That's
It
right.
just makes total logical sense. And the people who try to disparage Corey and his story will say, well, he doesn't have any evidence. Well, he was in a top secret program. I mean, for heaven's sakes, I mean, he was, naked and drugged up while he was being, age regressed. How are you supposed to take something? And,
Right.
they're watching you so closely. So yeah, I really, I too, I watched as many of those episodes as I could, and very touched by Corey's story and Andrew's. I think two of the stories that I really think have a extremely high probability of being true.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I would agree.
So now I know that putting a book together is a big ordeal. There's a lot of drawings. I've done children's books, but so how many pages are in the graphic novel, and how far along is it? Can you say
Yeah.
that?
Yes. And it's there's a reason why we're only this far along that I will explain the best I can. So we are 30 pages into the first 120-page book.
Okay.
And but the reason for this is we've had to restart the book. So we were very well into the book last time. We were over halfway through completion, and like well over halfway completion, I believe. And but the we we had to switch writers, and when we switch writers, what happens? We got a someone else who is very seasoned in the industry. So we got a writer from the How to Train Your Dragon graphic novel series and television series. And naturally, an artist is going to want to tell the story his way. Um, I'd much rather if you gave me a half finished painting, and I'm like, okay, but I'm kind of a painter, so I'd kind of like to start it over my way. Um, that's the way you'd prefer to do it. And I think that I personally think it's going to be a better book. I definitely feel like it's going to be a better book. and I like the direction it's going a lot better. And I really think it's going to be a huge improvement. We have someone else on our team from Disney, and these people are people who are from Hollywood, from graphic novels, that want to do good work for humanity instead of work for the enemy and want to work for disclosure. So
It's great. That's great. I mean, I've seen some of the frames, and I saw that video of you being interviewed by Corey.
Mhm.
Very, very interesting. I highly recommend that. Go to Sphere Being Alliance YouTube channel and check that out, and see Steve's interview there with Corey. And they show some of his artwork. Yeah. Do you have any artwork you want to just show on the screen now that you're working on, or
Well, I basically I don't know if you can cut in like some B-roll stuff, like if I gave you some
sure,
photos to put
sure, we
up
can
there.
put that in.
But
Yeah,
that'd probably be the best way to do it. But yeah, I have some examples of my of some of my work that I've done for Corey recently that we could throw up there for sure.
great. And now from that interview, it was very interesting. You showed pictures of comic books that you made with your friend in grade school?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
that was 8th grade.
And you were selling comic books like on lined paper, right?
Yeah, it wasn't on lined paper. It was my
Copy,
mom ran
copy.
them off on a Xerox machine at work, stapled them, and we sold them for $1 a piece.
Wow.
And but what's interesting about these comics is they're foreshadowing things uh, that are in Corey's narrative, as well as the narrative as a whole.
Wow.
Like we have Dumbs in there. You know, this is like late 80s, early 90s, and we
Mhm.
have deep underground military bases and the tunnels in between them. We have these tunnel trains. What do they call those? Those like tube
Maglev,
trains.
maglev
Yeah,
trains.
they're like maglev, but they're very similar to the ones that are described by Corey and Emery Smith
Right. Okay.
that run in these tubes.
Right.
And but what's really extraordinary is we created these maps of these underground tunnel systems that we put in the books. And you know, we were kids, and you can put them side by side, and they're amazingly accurate.
Wow.
um, what we one of the other interesting things, we had a character, like, we didn't know any of this stuff. We had a character who he had a dot on where his third eye would be,
Mhm.
and he could lift rocks and things with his third eye. He could move things
Oh,
around
wow.
with his third
Neat.
eye. Yeah, pretty
That's-
cool.
That is pretty cool. Wow. Maybe you should bring those back, reprint.
They're awful, but uh, I've thought about sort of resurrecting the characters and making, you know, like
Yeah.
drawing them with what I know now.
That's cool that you drew for your friends in school. And uh, I did that too. And, you know, when you're the artist in the class, people want you to draw things, and they always come to you, hey, draw this, draw that.
Definitely.
And I don't know what grade I was in, um, fourth or fifth or something. I don't know what it was. Maybe I can't remember. But so one of my friends asked me, hey, can you draw a naked girl?
Uh-huh. Oh,
And I
I
said,
wouldn't have done it. I
I
would
don't
have been
know.
scared.
So I just drew like a cartoon girl, like, you know, I was into like Cracked and Mad Magazine, and there was
Oh,
certain
sure.
artists that I would like emulate. And there was this one artist that had this really neat way of drawing, and I drew this kind of this this very cartoon looking naked girl. And this
Mhm.
kid gave me a quarter for it.
Yeah.
And then
Oh, but
another kid wanted one. Then another kid wanted one. I
oh,
had a whole
man.
I had a whole pocket full of quarters. And then this is the bad part. All the boys get called into the boys' bathroom. So we're like, what's going on? We go in there and the janitor is like really upset. And these kids, they took those drawings, they got them wet and they plastered them on the wall like a museum in there. And he goes, all right, which one of you drew these? Step
Oh,
forward. And I didn't step forward and nobody squealed on me.
wow. Well, that's good friends.
Oh, I was like, whew, boy, I still have that pocket full of change
Yeah, and
too.
then when you get to college, you get in trouble for not drawing them.
You know, yeah, that's another thing. So you draw from live models. That's quite an experience, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's basically what I did. Okay, I was very blessed in undergrad in that I went to I had very traditional teachers, and the bulk of our education was just day in, day out, models on stands, like nude models on stands, clothed models on stands. And our our painting classes were 6 hours long. And we would have 4 sessions with the same model often. And we have a lot of time to really get it right. So that was an incredible blessing. And looking at other art programs, I realize is a very rare thing. But yeah, we were just steeped in the human figure from the very beginning, and so I came to excel at drawing the human figure, and but with my own kind of little bit of pizzazz to it, and so early on, I got some of my first jobs were in teaching the human figure and and portraiture. So that's what I did. I taught like my teachers did, and I drew and painted alongside of them with the live model. And so I've just gotten tons of practice, just thousands and thousands of hours of practice just studying, drawing and painting the human figure from the live model.
Wow,
And it really gives you a versatility. That's a good thing.
wow, that's incredible. I'll never forget the first and last time I drew from a live model.
Only once?
Once I was still in school, and there was this local kind of a community college. It was an old elementary school. They turned into a community art college, and so I took a course in drawing there. And so the first week we did like um, bowls of fruit, like
Okay.
still life. And then the teacher said, "Okay, now remember to bring your $5 or $10. This was a long time ago for the model fee. We're going to be doing some drawing from a live model." I thought, "Oh, okay. I love portraits." I'm thinking, right? I'm thinking portraits.
Hmm.
And so the next week came, you gave your money, and I'm setting up my easel. Everyone's setting up their easel. I was like 15 or 14 or something. Everyone else had gray hair.
Mm.
Everyone else was like older. And so this woman walks in with a robe on. I thought, a robe? Why is she wearing a robe? Oh, all the contours, the robe. Oh, that makes sense.
Hmm.
Fun to draw, right? For the fabric. I'm setting my easel. I'm looking at where she is and and all of a sudden she's naked. I'm hiding by my thing. Oh my God, she's changing. I'm looking around going, why is she changing up there? No one told me about this.
Maybe she doesn't know.
And I'm like looking at everybody. They're just drawing her. And I'm going, what? What is this?
Mm.
I was like shocked, and I was drawing, and then the instructor would come by and she'd say, "Aaron, don't be afraid to draw those parts." I was drawing her face and her arms,
Mhm.
her legs.
Yeah. Oh,
But
even kids when they like a freshman in art school, they have trouble with that too, being shy about that.
it was really weird. I mean, I'd
Mhm.
never seen that. Was the first time I've ever seen a naked woman.
Well, it was mine too in art school,
Wow.
and I was 19.
Wow.
Yeah, but I was prepared for it too, because well, I think I'd seen Ghostbusters 2. There was a scene like that, and I remembered I think there was an episode of Three's Company with a joke about it, and so I was like, okay, that's what happens in art school.
Did you see the Beavis and Butthead one?
Uh, I don't know about that. That's
Okay,
funny.
Beavis and Butthead were going to this class, and they changed the letters around. I can't remember what it said, but it was they got in the class, and this naked model came out, and they're like, ugh, they're freaking out. But my mother's an artist, so I always would show her my artwork from this college I was taking.
Hmm.
But after the model started, I stopped showing my mom my stuff. I kept it in the trunk of my car. Eventually, it all got wet back there because I had a hole in my trunk. So all that's gone.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very. I'm like, this is weird. Do they know how young I am? I'm like, but it is really cool. I mean, the quick contours were fun too. When you do like 10 seconds at this pose and they move like that, you get a very fast, sketchy kind of a.
Mhm. I
Um,
hate those 10-second ones.
do I kind of like that? I kind of like.
Total waste of time. I feel like if any uh any shorter than a minute, I feel like, oh man, this is like a waste of precious time with the model. Some people love it though.
Yeah, I kind of liked it, but I only did that once. So,
Hmm.
and I took a commercial art course, and the post secondary. If I would have taken that, every student would be taking turns being the model. I thought, no,
Hmm.
no, sorry, I love art, but
Yeah.
no.
Yeah,
We
that
do
would definitely separate the serious people from the dabblers, I suppose.
or the extroverts from the introverts.
Uh-huh.
So you're doing the Corey book. It's a graphic novel, and it's from his childhood all on up. It's like his life story, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Very
yeah.
fast.
So this is actually supposed to be written as a trilogy, and so this is the first book of the trilogy. But man, is it epic! It's epic in every sense of the word. So let me tell you guys, I personally have never seen the level of depth and detail in a graphic novel that I'm putting into it. Okay. I can't say I'm the world's biggest graphic novel connoisseur, but uh, I've never seen anything quite like it, and I'm doing it all myself. Um, so it is a Herculean task to make this thing, and it's taking a lot of time. Even aside of having to start it over from scratch, it's taking a lot of time and energy. But I'm very excited about it. I'm very excited about making this product because I think it'll be something people haven't seen before. It's be quite an experience. So um, I think what I really like about the new format of the book is that it's flashing forward and backward in time. So you get to see different stages of this journey. Okay. In the first book already, you're going to outer space. You're seeing the aliens. Um, you're going back to his childhood. There's a beautiful scene, which is my favorite scene so far, and it's basically a screen memory of Corey being taken up by a craft that is cloaked as a pirate ship. So they give him a screen memory of a pirate ship. And so it's like, man, you have you have scenes that remind you of like Peter Pan. You have you have like 70s car chases with cops and stuff and mirror sunglasses and flare pants and stuff and uh, old school 70s cars, and you have you have space opera going on. It just kind of takes you every like we're gonna have battles. We're gonna have like alien battles on other planets and stuff. It's just like everything you want. It's like Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Starsky and Hutch. It's all in there.
Wow. Wow. I'm really looking forward to this. This is going to be something, definitely high on my list of things to get. Wow. Now, how old is Corey Good? Do you know how old he is?
I believe he just turned, I don't want to do him wrong, but I believe he just turned 50. He's
Okay.
49 or 50. Wait, he was born in 70, so yeah, he would be 50.
Okay. Well, that's great. Maybe you were in a secret space program. I mean, you
I
had
don't
those.
believe so. I think I was in something. I think I truly believe I had some kind of, and I believe a lot of us were, but I have too many strange memories to not have been at least visited by somebody or
Mhm.
looked at. Um, Memories in the past and recently, um, but I don't believe I was in any kind of program like Corey because I don't have the deep trauma. I don't have the sort of PTSD that is goes along with that. And I don't feel like I have that kind of genius either. I'm an artist. I have certain gifts, but I don't personally feel like, unless I was a sketch artist for aliens or something, I don't feel like I was space program material personally.
Well, I mean, but as a child, you mapped out where those tunnels were. That's pretty
Yeah.
interesting.
I think there's something going on because it's interesting. Like, my dad was military, right? Um, I lived on, it's just like, it seems like a lot of us have these kind of connections. If you just sit and look at them, I lived on Redstone Arsenal where Werner von Braun started NASA. Like,
Oh,
what? I was like, first of all, I was born in Nuremberg, Germany. And then
yeah.
I was born where, and I lived where a Nazi scientist started NASA, so it's like, okay, that's kind of cool. Um, and that's where I like really dug into the comics. Like most of my comics I bought on that army base. Um, and let's see. I too have some kind of a weird thing that I think is a screen. I had the dreams with I had the lucid dreams with the blurred out faces um, of people examining me. I
Uh-huh.
had I even had a vampire dream like Corey describes in like a vampire abduction dream as a little kid with the like Dracula looking, vampires. Um, I had one where, okay, like I woke up or didn't, I don't know if I woke up, but I found myself kneeling on the couch looking out the window, New Jersey. And from my perspective in my memory, I saw a flying saucer on my front lawn. So this could be some kind of a screen memory for something, but I woke up on the couch. So I had this dream and everything's right, the room's right, in a dream, normal dream, everything's wrong. It's like you're in a different space. But this is my house, woke up on the couch and then or like looking out the window, and then in the morning I was still on the couch. So something interesting happened there, but I don't feel like and as an adult I've had weird things too, like sleep paralysis, um, waking up broad daylight and feeling fingers in the back, like walking around feeling in the back of my head. I mean, as plain as day, this happening, and being like, who's touching me?
Wow.
So there's stuff like that happening, but I definitely don't feel like I think you'd better know before going and telling people. I don't want to. There's a lot of noise out there about, oh yeah, me too. I too was in the secret space programs. So I don't see any reason to think I was, so I don't go there.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe we all were.
Right. Yeah.
Apparently the mind wiping is very, very good.
Yeah.
Now,
Effective. Yeah.
Andrew Basiago, he remembers his Project Pegasus time when he was a kid, but he did not remember the Mars jump room.
Oh,
He had to be told about that and reminded, and then he got his memories back. So, and Corey, he's been told by people in the programs that, oh, you've done what, 3 20 backs? He's only aware of one of them.
Hmm.
So
Well, I
that's,
think he still recovers memories. I think
yeah, that
of the
must be freaky.
various 20.
Yeah.
I think he has memories from all 3 of them. I think.
I like it when the Blue Avian, when Rochier told him to put this message out. And he's like, no one's going to believe that I talked to a 14-foot tall blue bird person. And it doesn't matter if they believe you. I just put it out there.
Mm-hmm.
That's really, really funny.
Yeah, and what's cool too is that the the uh, the Blue Avians, according to Corey, also encouraged this graphic novel project. So I always like to say, if it's true, because I just wasn't there, but I do think it's true. But if it is, if and the Blue Avians really did tell Corey this, it's an honor to be part of such a thing, like an incredible honor. Just wow.
Yeah,
Because
well,
because they know the impact that that pop culture has on our people on Earth.
yes, yeah, yeah. You're doing really good work. Now, when you're doing these panels, are you doing oil paintings of each page? Is this how you're doing?
No, what I'm doing is I'm trying to mimic oil painting in it, but
Okay,
no, that would take the rest of my life. But these are all done digitally. They're all
okay,
digitally painted to look like oil paintings. Using my knowledge as an oil painter,
right. Oh,
but it's
that,
a lot faster.
and you don't have to go out and buy more red when you run out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Red's the worst. It's like $30 a 2-ounce tube.
Wow. Yeah, that's wow. That's probably why people go with acrylic. But acrylic, you can't mix. You get mud when you mix acrylics because oils are pure,
Yeah.
pure pigment. So you can mix a yellow and blue and get a nice rich green.
Well, the real thing about, I mean, I don't want to bore people with all the sort of chemistry of oil painting, but it's just a different thing entirely. You get a different kind of luminosity. You get a different kind of depth and sheen, and like a jewel like translucency to it that
Mhm.
is just totally different thing. And it stays wet and malleable as you work with it, so that you can really round out all those forms like that. That's what oil paint does best.
I saw Vincent van Gogh um, presentation in Chicago, and it was fabulous. I mean, his self-portraits, the one with the blobs of green, that
Mhm.
green is like metallic green. It's
Hmm.
really, I mean, you see it printed, it doesn't look that great, but when you see it, I was like, wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, that's the thing about painting, is that is I like what Roger Richards said about painting and drawing in physical materials. He said they're shamanic objects. That's exactly what they are. Another of my teachers said they're sculptural. So when you there's something about when you are sitting in front of a canvas and you are pouring all these emotions, whatever you're feeling into it. um, I mean, each painting I put at least 200 hours into, like a finished painting, and there's a lot that I'm going through in the process of making that painting, and I think it all goes in there, in the color choices, in the strokes, in the way that one day I may be in a bad mood, I may be angry, and I'll just be like, you know what? I hate this thing, and I'll sand it all down, scrape it all down, and then I'll paint over that, and or like I might put in darker colors, and but I think also, I think personally that there's some kind of a chemistry between your emotions and the oil, and that there's like a crystallization of your emotions in there, your energy. And like when I walk into a museum, it is a holy place to me. It is, there's an overwhelming feeling that I walked into a sacred space, and I feel it emanating off the paintings personally. Okay, when I was 23, I saw a John Singer Sargent exhibition in Washington, D.C. Okay. I was younger than that. I was like 22. John Singer Sargent exhibition in DC. And I can't explain this. I had seen this painting a million times in a book. Okay. I can't remember the actual name of the painting. We call it the Spanish Dancer. So there's like guitar players, woman in a dress dancing, right? And but I'm standing in front of this painting, and for no explicable reason, I look at a highlight on a guitar in the painting and burst into tears, sobbing.
Wow.
And I think, what is that? And I saw a flash of the universe. Okay. Not literally like a flash, like visually, but I felt a flash of like the vastness that he was tapping into. The vastness of his genius and his gift, and in this stroke. And I believe paintings are portals in that way. They're portals into another person's soul, and they can be portals back into source, which is, I feel like, what happened with that. And the remarkable thing is, when I told someone this story, they said, you have to read this book by James Elkins called Pictures and Tears. Someone described the same exact painting and bursting into tears looking at that painting. I don't know if they mentioned the guitar, the highlight on the guitar. Same exact painting now. What are the odds of that?
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
When I was a child and I started getting into art, I drew my first drawing when I was 3. I was watching Popeye, and I asked my mom, and my mom is an artist too, and I said, "Mom, what is Popeye? Is that a puppet or a person?" I didn't know what that was. And she said, "No, those are drawings." I said,
Mm.
"Really?" So I got some paper and a crayon and I started drawing. I drew like a very rudimentary Popeye in olive oil. And I was really upset because my picture wasn't moving. And like the cartoon.
Oh, I had the same experience.
Really?
Go ahead. I'll tell you a
So,
similar story. Yeah.
so then I started making squiggly lines trying to make it move. Like, I couldn't make it move. And I'll put that picture up too. My
Yeah.
mom saved it.
Love to see it.
And then, but from then on, colors and art was this magical thing and I always thought, if I could just draw it or sculpt it
Yeah.
realistically enough, it'll come alive. And there's this some magic with colors that I can't even grasp it anymore.
Don't I know it? Don't I know it? I feel like we were the same kid.
Wow.
This is incredible for me to hear this. Can I tell you? Are you finished with that story?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. So I got like it was like a workbook. It was like an activity book, full color Sesame Street thing.
Okay.
And I remember it was a thing. It was like a mini flip book that you make with the Count from from Sesame Street, right? And so it had a thing like this, and so it was like, oh boy, I'm gonna make an animated cartoon. Okay. And so I followed the instructions. I did it exactly as it said, but I was like so disappointed because I was like, that's not what I wanted it to come to life off. I wanted it to jump off the page. So I went and so my mom got me a book on how to actually make animated cartoons. And so she got me cells. She got me like to paint. She got me a Super 8 movie camera,
Wow.
and she got me an instructor. So he came into our house. This is a guy she knew from work who knew how to do it. And he agreed to do this for me as like a Christmas present. He taught me how to make animated cartoons and how to actually do it. And then I did it for my science fair project. I did it. I created animated cartoons and talked about the psychology of how a series of pictures can make you think of movement. Another thing I did too, I wonder if you did this. I was fascinated with 3D. Do you remember those things you could hold like this and turn? I don't know what they're called, and they'd be 3D. Like I couldn't get over it.
Like a hologram.
They're like holograms, but they're made out of like ridged plastic.
Oh yeah. Two different drawings.
Yeah.
Section.
And so I couldn't get over this. I'm like, what? You know, and they made stickers. They seem bigger in the 80s. I don't know. But I was just like, I can't, how does this exist? And then I started really getting into 3D, and I got 3D comic books, 3D things. And so I got a pair of 3D glasses. I studied stereoscopic vision. This is like 4th grade. And I made 3D things that worked with 3D glasses.
Wow.
Overlaying with the colored pencils. Studied it. Yeah. But yeah, I feel like, man, how old are you?
I'm 58.
I thought we were the same age. So
oh yeah, well we're close. I mean, I'm 50. You're 50. You're 40.
I'm 44.
44.
Yeah.
I was
See, I can instantly look older than you. Yeah. You have a superb head of hair.
Well, thank you very much. Now, it don't let this fool you. It's the thinning forest. It's been for a while. Now, I got to tell you about a product that I use that you might want to try.
Oh, come on. Is it going to help this?
Yeah, it might. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would try it. It's called Nissim. Nissim.
Okay.
Nisim shampoo, and it's this stuff you put on your scalp, and it can help regrow hair. And it stops the hair from falling out, and it helps to regrow the hair. And there's no side effects.
Okay.
It's a Canadian company, and I think that I do Elvis impersonations, so it's
do you really?
It's good to have a quaff.
Are you messing with me, or do you really do Elvis?
On my channel you can scroll back and see some of my performances. Yeah.
Wow. Do you play guitar?
Well, a little bit. I got to share the stage with DJ Fontana, Elvis's first drummer. That was
right?
That was incredible.
That is so cool.
And I got to meet him.
Now, did you see I shared a thing, Corey's dad, who recently passed.
He was a rockabilly guy.
How about that? Why didn't he tell us this? It's like one of the coolest parts of Corey Goodnow to me. It's his dad being in this rockabilly. And it was like they made it to the Rockabilly Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Who knew?
That's incredible.
He looked like Corey too.
Yeah. And the song was great. I thought it was a great song.
Yeah.
It was well done.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's so sad that he lost his father. I mean, that's really, really tough. I mean, I almost lost both of my parents, and very, very blessed to still have both of them. But yeah, wow, yeah, and getting back to the magic of colors, I can't even come close to explaining what this was like as a child. You probably had the same feeling that these colors and putting them together, there's some kind of magic that happens there. Um, it's just magical. There's something magical about it. And, you know, as we get older, the magic of childhood fades a little bit, but we have to try and grab onto that and hang on to that and try to remember that, because that's closer to the truth, I think, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know, somehow it didn't fade for me. I don't know. And maybe it makes me a little bit immature, but I think I've done a fairly good job staying in that spot. But I feel that there is a for me, like overwhelming sense of wonder about art and of all kinds, like of comics. It's like I'm holding this thing and I'm like, I can't believe this exists.
Mhm.
It's so beautiful and it's so mind altering, and uh toys, um Disney cartoons, like, I know, as soon as you say Disney, people have a lot to say, but man, did I love the artistry,
Oh, yeah.
going to Disney World and seeing Fantasia, watching Fantasia over and over and over again, and hearing the classical music um, playing together with these animations. It was so important to me. I never got over it.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then painting too, just getting into the whole classical painting world and the Baroque and art museums, and you just wonder. You realize that the human spirit, the human intelligence and genius is so big. Like, people are tapping into something so much bigger than themselves and really channeling something, I think.
mhm. Yes.
Raft of the Medusa by Jericho, um, in France, seeing that and just realizing just how big the human spirit is, how big human genius is. It's at once humbling, but also it's like you realize that you have something like a god inside of you too. As you're not just this is not a fish or a bear painting this. This is a human, and it's something very different.
Yes. And we do put our emotions into, like, when I'm drawing even a cartoon character, if I'm happy, that character looks happy. It's like
Yeah,
transferring it's like a transfer of emotion into that two-dimensional form.
absolutely.
And,
Absolutely.
like, here's some of my little characters, the love bugs.
Oh, hey. Oh, I love it. Those remind me of the Smurfs.
Yeah, well, I took the DNA of a Smurf and Mickey Mouse, and I got that. So,
Man, oh boy, I'm gonna have fun talking to you. And I actually want to buy some products.
oh, really?
It's beautiful. So I want to say I was very moved by your interpretation of Tier Air, and I feel like I learned something about Tier Air looking at your rendering of his face.
Really?
Yes, there's something that rang true about it to me that I want to study and I feel maybe integrate into my
Wow.
own interpretation of it.
Well,
There's a
see,
lot of life in that. I feel like that's very telling. Like when Corey described to me the blue avians, what they really look like. Okay. The closer I got to his description, and the more he said that's what it looked like, the more it's looking back at you and the more it comes to life.
yeah.
And it's that lifelikeness that tells you you're onto something. And I,
Yes.
and I really get that in your drawing that you did.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you have that to show the viewers?
Yes. Where is that? Um,
Man, you're a top-notch illustrator,
I wouldn't
cartoonist.
say that. I wouldn't say that. No. Um, Here's another book idea I'm working on. Um,
Beautiful. Yeah.
These are watercolors. Now, I don't know where that raw tier, I'll get that and I'll post it in the video and I'll send you a digital copy of it.
What's
But
this behind you? The cartoon image, the very colorful one.
this one over
Yes.
here or here?
Yeah, yeah. The one with the little boy with the yellow hair.
That is a children's book called Popple. And it's a book I illustrated. And I illustrated 2 books, Popple and Popple's Place, written by Judith C. Johnson of Green Bay, Wisconsin. And it's about a little boy, a lonely little boy on the edge of the woods. And let me see if I can grab it here. He doesn't have any friends. And he lives next to this woods. And he wants to go in the woods to see if there's any, he could make some friends in the woods. But his mother told him that scary creatures live there. But he meets all these fancy little characters.
There's a little Elvis guy in there.
Yeah, that's actually me. Yeah, that's me. That's Miller the Mole. Yeah. So we get
cool.
Fancy the Fox, Sammy the Squirrel, Ollie the Owl. And I actually got Jeff Foxworthy to endorse the books because they help the children's hospitals.
Man,
But yeah,
congratulations.
thanks. Yeah. So here's, some of the inside pictures.
Yeah.
And
Gorgeous.
so a fun project to do, and it helps children. So thanks for asking about that.
Yeah. We have a lot to talk about.
We do. We probably have to do another show. We're coming to the end now. I want to thank you, Steve Cefalo. So follow him. Where can people follow you?
Yeah, the best place, well, I would say Instagram is good if you want to look at my fine art stuff. I post occasionally an illustration, but post a lot of drawings and paintings on there. And it's just Steve Cefalo, at Steve Cefalo on Instagram.
Spell
Steve with a V.
What's that? Spell Cefalo.
Cefalo.
CEF.
Facebook is good, but if you want to see all my stuff, you want to check out, really browse hundreds of pieces of my art, just go to Stephen with a PH, Cefalo.com.
Okay. Very good. And boy, I bet you're going to be busy making those 200-hour portraits for Christmas this year. You're going to be one of Santa's elves making all these things.
I'd like to think so, but that remains to be seen.
Well, I want to thank you, Steve. It's been very interesting. We're going to follow this up with another one in short time. And I want to thank you for coming on Truth Quest. And any final thoughts you want to leave for our friends?
I just want to say it's been a blast. It's truly been a pleasure.
Thank you very much. For me too. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining me again for Truth Quest. This is Aaron Moriarty, your host, signing off. Peace in.